Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT EMEA Stage 2 for week 4 of the competition. My guest at this time is Pal of BBL Esports, this time coming off their match against Team Vitality, in which they came out victorious 2-1 to thus stay at a 2-2 record so far in the regular season, and most importantly, securing their qualification for playoffs for Stage 2. And so, Pal, thank you so much for the opportunity. Job well done on the victory, like I said, and congrats on making it to playoffs. So first and foremost, how are you feeling? What's the accomplishment like for you, just having to get that ticket secured?
That's the big thing, is just having it secured. It's something that we obviously expect of ourselves, especially after how well we performed in the first two stages of the year. But to have it done now in week 4, we've got a big Turkish derby next week, where being able to remove that extra pressure from an already really, really big game for us, it's a nice added bonus, and it allows us just to focus on fixing stuff up and putting ourselves in the best position, the best seeding possible going into playoffs the week after that.
Yeah, of course, and this happened against a Vitality team that, sure, they've been on a down end for a good while in the middle part of the season, but they've been looking to rebound and return to the past glory from earlier on in the year. And so obviously you guys experienced such a few issues there, specifically on that first map on Lotus, but you guys were able to call back, winning on Icebox and then most importantly on Bind. So in the general sense, what do you feel was the biggest issues that affected the team in the beginning part of the series, and how are you guys able to claw back or claw your ways out of it?
The biggest thing, I think, first of all, credit to Vitality for their Lotus. I think their Lotus is actually very, very strong. They play it slightly differently to how they play a lot of the rest of their map pool, and it's very old school, traditional double controller Lotus, where they play to punish off of your mistakes. And it's hard when you don't play against any other teams, both in officials and also in scrims, who play that same style, to make the correct adaptation. So we were doing a lot of the same stuff that we've done before. We understood what our game plan was. We knew that they'd play that slightly slower pace. But just having that composure to stick to it, even though it feels quite uncomfortable because you can't practice it, that was hard. And that's what we struggled with in the moment against them. But we bounced back. We knew that we were winning a lot of the clutches. We knew that we had that individual edge on them. And that's what we really took into Icebox. Even when we're 6-0 down, and things were looking a little bit rough in the beginning of that second map, we spoke during the timeouts of, actually, you just need to trust yourselves, call around the ideas that where you can set yourselves up, get those fights earlier in the round, get ourselves on the front foot, and actually we'll be able to carry them through, carry this advantage stage through to the end of the round most often.
Yeah, it's basically as what we saw in this team, coming out of map 1 and then finally flipping the switch and performing and improving so much to the point where you guys came out of this victorious. And going into map 2, you mentioned a little bit about making the change, going into the timeouts and having to look at what's wrong and then adjust, tweak from that point on. What do you feel was the biggest thing that stood out to you when it comes to that sudden change from being in that like 6-0, 7-0 kind of deficit to now winning it and basically not even allowing Vitality to win a single round amidst that turnaround?
It's composure. It all comes down to the composure. So I spoke in the timeout about saying, right, guys, if you trust yourselves, because I can see that the mistakes we're making today are not different to when we're playing our bad performances on our off days when we've lost games previously in the year. If you trust yourselves, keep a plan simple, because we don't need complicated macro plans to beat them. And then focus on making sure that one by one, we just call out the details that we're adding to the plans. Then actually everybody had a lot more clarity. And it was that clarity that then led to the confidence in the execution of the things that we wanted to do. And I think that was the biggest thing. We maintained that composure all the way through, especially as we built up momentum on Icebox right through to the end of that map. We had it really going through a lot of the defense half on Bind as well. And then we started to lose it again on our attack half on Bind towards the end of the series, and you could really see us starting to make some sloppy mistakes or missing out on the confidence of the execution of things. But that was the biggest thing. We revived it right at the end, just in time, thankfully. But it was the composure and the communication to have that clarity from which we get the confidence we need to execute things well.
You mentioned about Bind. I wouldn't expect for you guys to go for it on Bind because like it's been your permanent map, for the better part of stage 2, and obviously this is a major change for you guys to now say, you know what, let's go for it. Let's go for bind on map 3, leave it on the map pool all the way to the very end. Why?
Um, I like doing that. Yes, we had a ban earlier. We came off the back of EWC. We had very little turnaround time before we went into week 1, then straight into week 2, and then a very fast week 3 again. And it made sense for us to at least prioritize something. Against Heretics, it made sense for us to ban Bind. And then against Giants, because they'd won it the first week, it made sense for us to ban it again. But then around the Gentlemates period, I just said, look, we're going to have a 9-day period. We go from a Wednesday game to a Friday, from week 3 to week 4. We've got a huge amount of time to then prep bind that we knew we'd be confident on. It was just a matter of time of, okay, when's the right moment in terms of the training block to actually bring this in, and leave them with hopefully a little bit of a surprise in the veto that gives us that little edge. So no, we were more than confident. It was completely planned out, and I'm just glad that we managed to show that it works. We've done it before in stage 2 once or twice in stage 1 when we brought out some interesting comps for people to play against. Once against Liquid, once I think we did it in kickoff as well. But no, it was purposeful, and I'm glad that they played into it in the end.
Which, as we've been saying, ends with a victory for BBL, and now you guys are on a 2-game winning streak, winning against today Vitality, and then last week against Gentlemates, and then vast contrast to earlier on in stage 2, which you guys lost to Heretics and Giant X. And I remember like a few conversations I had, a few interviews earlier on in the season, which people were talking about, oh, Giant X is a team to watch out for. We're seeing their strength nowadays, but how were you guys able to suffer those 2 losses, rebound from it, then kind of reset yourselves into Gentlemates and Vitality, and now sit at a pretty relatively stable condition near the end of stage 2?
We'd been there before in stage 1. Is the short answer. We won a very close game against Carmine Core in week 1 of stage 1, where really we probably should have lost it. We then lost a game to Team Liquid in week 2 of stage 1, where we got punished, but we learned a lot. And then we didn't lose a map for over a month. We went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 first round of playoffs. So we've been there. Those first 2 weeks where we have a little bit of teething issues, where we're trying to do new stuff, we're trying to do better stuff, we're trying to take ourselves to a higher level overall. We figure out how we can find the balance best. And it took us 2 weeks again. And then we reset, and we knew, and we had a slightly better vision of exactly how we wanted to play in stage 2 moving onwards. Heretics, we actually put in a really good performance, but we didn't get the result. A lot of rounds didn't go our way. They played exceptionally well individually, and we played well but lost. It was on the flip side, we played against Giants. We played really poorly on at least two of our attack sides, and we got massively punished as a result. So we had a big off day. A team that was building a bit of momentum, that have obviously improved massively since stage 1 as well, punished us for it. Okay, that's fine. We learn from that. Again, we strike the balance going into week 3, going into week 4 now, and we look to take that on into week 5. So it's just about, in both stages, we've looked to push ourselves a little bit further, look to try and increase our peak performance, what we're capable of overall. We've often gone a little bit too far. We bring it back, we find the balance by the end of the second week, and then we power through to the end of the group stage. So hoping that we can get the result in week 5 next week and continue that pattern, basically.
It's interesting you mentioned the comparison between stage 1 and stage 2. I would say there's been 2 major changes within the BBL team from that point. First off, the inclusion of Magnum, and also second of all, you being the head coach. And of course, the team parted ways with the previous one after stage 1, I believe. And so you had to move up to the head coaching role. Has there been any difference for you in terms of roles for yourself as the coach? And has there been any kind of difference for yourself, or has there actually been some, or has there not?
I need to think of the right way to put this. I would say on the majority, no. I think I've enjoyed stage 2 a lot more because it's there. I've had complete freedom to really try and engage at least what my view of how this team works is. But in terms of a lot of the backroom stuff, no, there hasn't been a massive change. I've really appreciated both Thinky and Zeiss, who I've got on board working alongside me now. But it's basically just been a case of, right, take what we had from stage 1 and then build on it and build and build, try and take ourselves a little bit further. Really think he's been doing a fantastic job with Levin in particular, really trying to focus on bringing him up to speed, really making the most of his skill that he has, even when he lacks a lot of experience. So looking at a lot of his decision making, looking at how he can build confidence, not just from hitting the craziest shots when he's on his A game, but actually by being a lot more consistent. And Zeiss has been fantastic in terms of, especially when we went into Corrode, bringing a lot of strategic concepts from other teams that we can adapt or put into our own work, and also helping me massively with the game preparation as well. So it's my role has shifted slightly away from just trying to do a little bit of everything to more running the system and focusing more on, right, how does this team, identity-wise, make the most of itself? And then a lot of the little other backroom stuff that I was doing is now spread between the other two members of the coaching staff, Yampi, the IGL. A lot of the players also are having a lot of impact. If they're not afraid to give feedback whatsoever. If they think some of my work is bad, then fine, we discuss it. They'll have a go at me. They'll say, no, I want to do this, I want to do that. And okay, we test it. We figure out what works best for this group, and then we move onwards.
We're kind of past the time limit, but I want to squeeze in one more question. It's going to be very quick before I wrap this up. End of stage one, we saw BBO miss out on Masters Toronto, finishing 4th place. Obviously, you guys want to surpass that, but I want to ask you, what's the confidence level that you guys are actually going to be able to make that happen, regardless of what happens at the end of the regular season and you guys move on to the playoffs?
I'm confident. We've been there before. Every big loss like that we've had this year, when we came 5th, 6th in kickoff, when we came 4th in stage one, we've fallen just one result short of where we wanted to be. This time now, we know what the goal is. And I think culturally we are different as a group now since our changes throughout the stage 1 to 2 break. And I think now having that, we have a better understanding of ourselves. We have a better, more reliable base for our confidence. And I think that is going to make the biggest difference now. We are a vastly more experienced team than we were when we played those stage 1 qualification games for Masters Toronto. And I think that experience is going to be the thing that pays off massively for us this time around.
Hopefully such a experience can exactly pay off, as you said. And so, Pal, thank you so much for the opportunity, for the interview, for your answers, for all the insight. Really do appreciate it. And of course, best of luck goes to yourself and the rest of the squad for everything else after today.
I appreciate it, Pedro. Thank you very much.